2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Purlwise Podcast, knitting all day, let's look at it together. Purlwise Podcast, stitch by stitch, we can make whatever. Stitch by stitch, it's made by your friend Claire.
Hi there, my name is Claire, and this is Purlwise, the place where I talk about all the things I've made, mostly for myself, knitting, sometimes sewing, here on YouTube. So thank you for watching. I'm going to try really hard to look at the camera, I say as I look away. I'm got a new angle. Just because I want to be able to show you more of what I'm wearing and like fuller view, because I feel like that's lacking sometimes in my videos. And better light. You can see my cat, not a real cat. Yeah, so I hope this setup is good for now. Every video we're in a different place, and that's fine. But I feel like this is good. I'm starting to get hot already. Yeah, so it's been a while since I filmed, for a variety of reasons that I feel like aren't that interesting to talk about, but yeah, I've been really struggling. I've been wanting to film so bad, and it just like never has worked out. So here we are today. I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna kind of maybe limit what I show you to make this more manageable for me, and hopefully means I'll have the energy to film again and show you the other things. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I feel very strange staring at you, but I'm really trying to not be looking just at myself. Yeah, so let's start because I'm so hot. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all the really nice feedback on my last video, where I showed the sweater I had designed. You can go back and watch that if you're interested. It's my Everything I Knit in 2024 video. Yeah, all the comments were so lovely. I'm, to be clear, still working on it, but still undecided what I'm going to do with it. So, yeah, we'll see. But it was so nice. I'm so glad that so many of you liked it. And it seems like it's going to be a pretty long process to try and write that up as a pattern. And I'm chipping away at it, but, you know, there's only so much time in this life. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you most of all. It was really, really nice to hear from all of you. So yeah, let's start with my first finished object, which has been finished for a while. And I wanted to show it for a while, and there's like a lot to say about it. And I think this might be the bulk of the video today. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna see how much I can get through. Before the sun, whenever I'm filming or thinking about filming, I can like see the sun coming along the wall towards me. And also if the sun of my energy sets. What? First finished object, which I think that I finished early February, probably. Started in November. This was a sweater that I knit with yarn that I bought at Rhinebeck. I went to Rhinebeck, the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, planning to get yarn for this sweater, which I've like kind of had in the back of my mind for ages, and it's the Schulta by Albina McLaughlin. Better view. I have to like crouch down to be in the frame. There's just no perfect way to do this. So the two yarns that I used for this were the Bow Layers Orchards Rommeldale and CVM DK for the main body. And then I used 4 shades of Green Mountain Spinnery's Music DK for the contrast colors. And if I remember correctly, the colors are Purple Haze. Yes, Purple Haze, Norwegian Wood, White Wedding, and Touch of Gray. And these all came in 50 gram skeins. One second, I have to open the window. I'm too hot. I hope that won't be too loud, but maybe you can hear the birds. It's just too hot. So yeah, all of the Music DK from Green Mountain Spinnery. They were 50 gram skeins, and then I bought I wish I knew. I bought 500 grams of the Rommeldale CVM from Bow Layers, and I only used 400 grams, so I have a whole skein left, which is nice. Nice to have leftovers, although also sometimes it's nice to not have leftovers, because there's a lot of yarn in this apartment. Yeah, where should I start? I made a list. Okay, so I did make, they're not like crazy mods, but a significant number of modifications to the pattern. First of all, when I swatched with this yarn, the pattern is written for a DK to Aran weight, which is typical of a lot of Albina's patterns. She makes them kind of variable in gauge, and will often tell you how to make like half sizes and stuff. I think she's a great designer for that kind of thing. And this, I mean, it is to me a true DK, but it's woolen spun, so it has a lot more squish to it, and I thought that it was a bit too gappy at the recommended gauge, which was 18 stitches over 4 inches. And so I knit this instead at about a 20 stitch over 4 inch gauge. And now I'm trying to remember what size I didn't write that down, of course. So I have a bust measurement of, hard to say, I think at the moment about 50 inches with like my bra that I usually wear on. Initially, I think I would have made there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sizes. The smallest being a 36-inch bust and the largest being a 64-inch bust. And there is also a children's pattern as well. But I think I would have made, normally, if I was on gauge, the 56-inch size to give me about, depending on factors, about 5 to 6 inches of positive ease, I think would have been, that's kind of generally what I aim for in a lot of things, unless I want a big, like, oversized 10-inch positive ease fit. But because, I hope the cars aren't too loud. I'm getting distracted. Because of my gauge difference, I made the second largest size, the 7th size, which is supposed to be a finished bust size of 60 inches. So that was my first modification. And my difference in gauge also meant that the sweater came out a little shorter than it might have at the proper gauge. So she gives 2 options in the pattern. One is a cropped fit and one is a full length, whatever that means. And the full length is supposed to be 4 repeats. And on me, the 4 repeats is like, I mean, my waist is here. It's kind of what I'm realizing. I like this approximate sweater length for like a long crop, I feel like. So yeah, the length worked out really well for me. Let me look at my notes again. Oh, and yeah, to achieve this gauge, I also used many different needle sizes. The main, I mean, it doesn't matter what my needle sizes are, but I believe I used a 4mm needle for the main like stockinette, and then I sized up to a 4.5mm for all of the color work. So I was switching between needles every time there was like, I would do 4 rows of stockinette with 4mm and then switch to the 4.5 to do the color work. And then when I did the sleeves, I sized everything up. So I did the stockinette portions in 4.5mm, and I did the color work in 5mm needles, on 5mm needles. And then, yeah, I did the same thing for the ribs, which, yeah, I would have used a 3mm for the body hem, and then I think I used a 3.25mm for the cuffs, though I don't know if you can tell. Something happened between cuff 1 and cuff 2, and I don't know if it's that I changed my needle size, or I feel like maybe I was watching something stressful when I knit the second cuff. But for some reason one cuff is tighter than the other, and it's like not something you can, I mean, you can see it if you're looking for it, but it's mostly something I can feel when I wear it, which is unfortunate. So there is a little part of me that wants to re-knit this because the sleeves were knit bottom up. I kind of want to re-knit it, cut this off, graft it back on, but that seems a bit excessive. So I don't know. Because I kind of like the looser cuff on this side. And I like these long cuffs. They're also really nice for folding up. Like I wore this to work and I was able to fold up my cuffs and like that's where they land. So yeah. That's my first note that I used many needle sizes. And then yeah, like this is knit on an even smaller needle size than the main ribbings. But that doesn't matter. So the construction of the sweater, it's knit bottom up. And it was a drop shoulder construction that I had never done before and never really seen before, where I don't know how much you can see it here, but I am more used to doing a drop shoulder where you go sort of straight up. And even like the Marit cardigan is the only other like all over colorwork steeked garment that I've knit, and that was knit like in a straight tube, and then you steeked open the arms and like the arms extended from there, so it was like a rectangle of a sweater with the arms extending. And this sweater, which I think is really interesting, and yeah, it doesn't really show when I hold my arms up, but if you look at the number of sailboats there are here, when you cast off for the armhole before setting up your steek, you cast off like 2 boats worth, and then you only cast on 1 boat's worth. So I hope this is making sense, but the body of the sweater before steeking is like a tube, and then it comes in a little bit at the underarms and then goes up to the neck. Oh. So tube comes in at the underarms, up, and then neckline at the top. So the body is like 1 sailboat wider on each side, if that makes any sense. And I thought that was a really interesting construction because it makes for like a good number of stitches in the underarm, and and more stitches in the body than, say, like the Marit cardigan I had knit, which just like the sleeve is coming right out of, like it would be just growing right out of the middle of that steek, instead of having this like good amount of stitches underneath. Does that kind of make sense? So you can see this is what becomes the underarm stitches. Anyway, so that to me was interesting construction, not something I had done or seen before. I don't know like how traditional of a construction it is for a steeked garment, because I feel like sort of traditional Norwegian steeked garments are often just tube cut in the neckline, that kind of thing. Yeah, so bottom up steeked. That was what I wanted to say about the construction. And maybe I'll continue talking about how it's made. So you actually do, like once you've done that underarm bind off, set up the steeks. The steeks are like not, you just keep working in pattern, which makes for like a good flow. Sometimes a steek will have like the alternating colors. Like there will be like a sort of corrugated, not corrugated, but you'll alternate your main color and your contrast color in the steek to create like lines, and then you will steek up those. But this, she just has you continue the boats all the way around, and then your steek is like one repeat's worth, and then you just cut up the middle of the boats, which whatever, you could change it out to be like an alternating more traditional steek if you wanted to. Traditional, I don't know if that's more traditional or when that was like introduced as a method, but yeah, so set up the steeks and then you fully knit it all the way to the top, which I guess I thought I had read through the pattern, but I didn't actually notice that initially, and now I'm thinking there's something I wanted to show you. Oh yeah. So yeah, you knit it fully up, you do some short rows to create the shoulder. So as you can see, there's a slope to the shoulder. And then you cut out the V-neck. And I was like a little bit worried about yarn amounts, especially the white. I was kind of running low. And so when I read that in the pattern, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna like use this yarn and then just like cut it out of the sweater, and it feels like a bit wasteful. But in the end, like I'll show you, this is the amount. I think they go like this. This is the amount that was cut out of the middle. So yeah, it's just kind of not a huge amount of the main color, but like actually very little of the white. So I did take video of me steeking the neckline.
principles of sustainability and communal use of resources and all that good jazz. Gus is right here and he's being very demanding. So I think what I want to talk about, well, I do know what I want to talk about, let's not pretend. What I'm going to talk about is the chapter throughout history in modern times, but I'm really interested in ones that are historical, whether those are like utopian or just like straight up communal arrangements.
So then you cut out that chunk, fold it over, and secure it down. And in the past, when I've steeked things, I've like done a line of machine sewing to like anchor it down and give it like more of a sense of safety that it won't unravel. And she doesn't recommend to do that in this pattern, though I feel like she did. The other steeked pattern of hers that I've made was the cutting edge vest, and I feel like she did maybe recommend securing the steeks in that pattern. But not in this one. And I was like, I have a lot of faith in this like woolen spun yarn, and I'll just like very carefully secure it down, and that's what I did. So you can kind of see here the line of the stitching, which I was kind of worried about, but like I forgot that the collar would cover it. So here, I'll try and So and same thing with the armholes. My only concern with the armholes was that I felt like when I steeked it like on this side, it looks like a little bit messy. Like the stitches look kind of loose once I'd picked up, but it's on the back. Was this the side? Yeah, they look a little loose here, but it's also like, I'm trying not to let it bother me. It looks like nice and tidy on this side and then a bit looser on this side. So I don't know. It's okay. I don't think there's like any danger of anything coming out. It's just that it like looks a little like sloppier than I would like versus like this side looks so neat and tidy. And I'm not sure why that is, why on one side it would be, I don't know, probably just something about the nature of steeking and where I cut it. I don't know. Whatever. What next? So I steeked it open. Sorry. And then cut these bits out. I think I did all the steeking at the same time, and then I knit the sleeves, and you knit the sleeves again bottom up, and you pick up stitches around where you've steeked. Take these stitches that are on hold, you pick up around the armhole, and you graft the sleeve to the body. And this is where I made another mod. The original pattern, for one, the original pattern has 3 repeats of the sleeve. And that's like the full length sleeve. And you increase between each repeat to make the sleeve larger and larger. So I did there is actually 2 sleeve options, and I did the tapered sleeve option, which is like it's like in an appendix in the back, because I had swatched by starting the sleeve, which I knew wasn't going to be my final sleeve, because when I swatched I was like too lazy to do the full cuff. So I just sort of swatched like this chunk of the sleeve, and not the tapered option, like the full wide sleeve option, and it was really like, I just felt like it was really big on me, and I thought I'd probably like the tapered sleeve instead. I mean, that's kind of like a danger with larger sizes. I think it's harder to get like a balanced looking like full sleeve if you're using like the full width of the upper arm around the wrist. Like it's going to be really wide. So I knew I wanted to do the tapered sleeves. And one thing that is written into the pattern, you do 3 repeats of the sleeve, and then you pick up around the armhole, but you pick up 10 stitches more than there are in the sleeve, and she has you knit a row where you decrease 10 stitches out of this area. And it's funny because I had like noticed that in the photo and been like, what's going on with the sleeve? And I'll put the picture here and you can see what I mean, how it kind of like, it cinches in a little bit. And I didn't really understand until I read the pattern, obviously, why that was. And I didn't like how that looked. So when knitting the sleeves, I knew I wanted them to be longer anyways. And I knew I needed there to be 10 more stitches so that I didn't have to do that decreasing. And so I just did one more repeat and increased 10, like you increase 10 stitches between each repeat. And so by adding the extra repeat, I had enough stitches that I didn't need to decrease out any stitches from the armhole after I had picked up. I hope that makes sense. So it meant that I got this kind of, straight, like the sleeve is the same size as the armhole, which is what I wanted. So in that sense, like my gauge really worked out. And I mean, if I hadn't wanted to do that, I could have just done another repeat and, but like not added the stitches anyways, but, it just all worked out for me. I will say one thing about the sleeves. When you do the tapered sleeve option, she has you like stagger the boats so that they're not like on the body, all the boats are lined up. And on the like straight sleeve option, all the boats are lined up. But because you're increasing, obviously like you can't quite line up the boats on the tapered sleeve. So she has you offset them by a few stitches each repeat, which I think is a good idea. But one thing I noticed, which I don't think anybody else is going to notice necessarily, but I thought I'd made a mistake and forgotten to stagger them, because you can see on this arm, the boats are really well staggered. Like there's a boat in between these two boats, but because of the way that the staggering works, like on the back of the sleeve, the boats are lining up, because it's staggered by, I think maybe 4 stitches. Oops, sorry. My screensaver turned on. Anyways, they're not like exactly lined up, but like you can see they're looking more aligned than they do on this side. And this is such like, I don't know, maybe to some people this is a really nitpicky thing, but I do think it's interesting. But the issue is that the sleeves are both knit the same. So what is the front on this sleeve is the back on this sleeve. So the front of this sleeve, the boats look aligned, and on the back of this sleeve, the boats look staggered. Do you see what I mean? Anyways, and I was like, how could I have corrected for that? The easiest fix would be to like make the beginning of round, like both my beginnings of rounds are underneath, like in the armpit. And if I had flipped this and made the beginning of round the top of the sleeve, like then you'd see the jog in the pattern. So like that isn't ideal. And mostly like, it really doesn't matter. Like, I'm a person who moves. Like, I don't think anybody's going to notice. But I just thought that was an interesting thing to note. And was something where, like, I put it on and I was like, oh no, I've messed up, but I hadn't, so it's fine. Anyways, I wonder, let me know if you did notice. Probably, I don't know. Seems unlikely, but yeah. So that's maybe all I wanted to say about the construction. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that I made a mistake. And here's a picture. The mistake that I made is that there in the chart there's two, in the sail, there's 2 rounds that are exactly the same. So you do the same thing 2 times, like right here in the middle. And in this, I believe, yeah, this last section of the chart, I forgot to do one of those rows. So I had totally finished the body. Luckily, I had not steeked it yet. And I was like, why does, like, I thought it was a gauge issue. I was like, why is this chart like so much, it looks like shorter and like squatter than all the other ones. And I looked at it long enough to be like, oh, I forgot a whole row in the sailboats. So yes, thank God I hadn't steeked it yet. I was like just admiring it. And so I did sweater surgery on it. And what did I do? I believe I cut in this like section of stockinette, and I separated the top from the bottom, and put them both on needles. Or no, I put the top on a needle, and then I ripped back until after my mistake, and then put the bottom of the body on another needle. And I think I have photos that I'm showing you, hopefully. And then I re-knit it correctly all the way up, and then until I got to this stockinette section and left, like there are 4 rows here in the stockinette section, so I probably had like 2 rows on hold, and then knit 1 row on this bottom part. I can't remember if that was the actual breakdown, but I would have like one row on the bottom, 2 rows on the top, and then grafted it back together, which was 1 row. So I grafted 1 row all the way around, which was time consuming. And I don't know, it's hard to say if doing the surgery was any quicker than just like ripping back to here. But I could face the idea of doing sweater surgery more easily than I could face the idea of ripping back. There's just something psychologically more difficult about ripping back. And I also like was going to have to redo these sections, which were like, I'd already, I think this was grafted together, the shoulder. I'd already grafted the shoulder, so I would have had to undo that grafting. I would have had to undo the short rows, which is like just kind of annoying. And then I would have had to rip back, reknit the short rows, regraft, like on both sides. At this point, it was still connected in the middle. But anyways, so what I chose to do was the sweater surgery. Who knows if it would have been quicker to do it the other way, but yeah, so I thought that was an interesting thing, and it like worked out really well. And you can't see it at all. I was like pretty careful with my tension, but also like blocking just smoothed everything out, and yeah, I was happy with that fix. And yeah, the only other issue I can think of that I encountered was my concern about running out of white yarn, because oh my god, I've been talking about this sweater for like almost 40 minutes, but hope you're having fun. Yeah, I was concerned about running out of white yarn because I had 50 grams and I was doing, like I did the full size, which is the 4 repeats in the body, and then I was adding these extra larger repeats on the sleeves. So what I did to make myself feel better and make sure that I had enough was I weighed what I had left and I counted how many sailboats, individual sailboats I had made, I had knitted, and divided the yarn used by the number of sailboats and figured out how many grams of yarn each boat took, and then calculated how many I had left to do in the sleeves, and the numbers told me that I would be okay, and I still was nervous, but it worked out, because I was even looking at like ordering another skein, but it's like from the States, and shipping for just a 50-gram skein, it was going to be like 50 Canadian dollars or something, or more. I can't remember, but yeah, I'm glad I just did that math. And I think each boat took 0.26 grams. So yeah, that's my Schulta sweater, and I love it. I don't think I've said that yet, but I really love it. It's like my favorite thing I've ever made. I like feel really good in it. It's like nice and roomy, like the shoulders feel good. I'm really happy with all the modifications I made. I found this kind of frustrating to knit because it was on such small needles. Oh, I guess I didn't describe the construction of the collar. Here we go. So you pick up at the bottom and you're increasing and picking up stitches along the side as you go. And I just found it frustrating to knit. I found I was like having gauge issues. Like when I say gauge issues, I just mean like one day I would knit with one needle size and the next day it would be like looser than, like just the regular gauge issues that happen. And so I was really being kind of perfectionist about it. So I did end up ripping out, I think I ripped this out twice because I felt like it wasn't looking like the rib on the other side. And that is maybe, I didn't need to do that. I was just being a little bit obsessive, because it was coming together and I was liking it so much and I was so close. Sorry, that's a loud truck. Yeah, and then I knit the full sailor collar, which was about like 6 inches, I think, of rib. And yeah, I love it. And I barely got to wear it. I think part of it was that I was nervous to wear it because I liked it so much. And then it got warm. And I should have just worn it more. But I mean, maybe I can wear it through the spring as like an outer sort of layer. I think so. So yeah, that's the Schulta. I hope that was interesting. I know I've been speaking to a couple people. I posted a little like sneak peek of it on Instagram, and a couple people said they were interested in hearing about it. So I hope that was helpful. And I did also want to show you my pants since I'm already standing up. I've been kind of on a pants journey, or by which I mean I've just been really unhappy with all of the pants I've made and all the pants that exist in the world. And so I knew I wanted to make some black pants with a pleat, and that were tapered. And I'll just talk about this quickly because I don't want to get too in the weeds, but I had in the fall bought the bisque trousers patterned by Vivian Shaochen, and I made a toile in the fall of them and didn't like it at all. So the bisque trousers, they have this pleat in the front, they're an elastic waist, and they have darts in the back. Can you see? It's hard, they're black. But I made them in the fall, and I made the tapered leg view. I'm going to talk to you like this. I made the tapered view, and I found them like really balloony in the leg. So I made some modifications to get them to be less balloony, and I'll back up and show you. You can see the darts, and you know, they're not perfect fit, like I have drag lines. I don't know if you can hear me as far from the mic, but ta-da! Yeah. And I like them because the like, it's hard to see here, but the pleat like flows into the waistband. And they have, I did like the option with a liner for the pocket, so that there's less bulk at the waistband. So what I did to get the fit that I wanted, and I've been looking into the top down center out method for pants fitting a lot over the last like 6 months or more, and it seems really good and interesting, but I just never have felt like I have the time to like fully get into it. It just seems like a little bit demanding. So if you don't know the top down center out pants fitting method, you can Google it. There's like lots of free resources to learn about it, but it involves making like a half toile. So you like toile one half of the pants, and you have a waistband all around your waist, and you make adjustments from there, following this like method of starting at the top, going down and center out, and just reading and watching videos about that method gave me some ideas for how I could change these pants to fit me better. And the main thing that I did, not to fit me better, but like so that I liked the fit of the garment more, because they fit my body before, but I didn't like the shape of them, because it's often hard to find pants that have been graded to larger sizes, that like maintain the silhouette of a tapered leg. Like the taper often gets really large, because it's like, yeah, getting graded out in proportion to the hip and waist. So that's a very frustrating thing for, I know, a lot of other people, not just me. So yeah, what I did was I made a size, I wrote it down. I made a size 28 in the pants, but I graded down the back, just the back pant legs, to a 24 at the ankle. So where there would have been more fabric in the back, there's now like less, and it like pulled them in more. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but it would be better if they weren't black. Yeah, it gave me this good amount of taper, that like I can still move in, but it doesn't look as balloony. And the other thing that I did was I removed a full 3 inches of length, because I feel like often when I put pants on and I hate them so much, it's because they're too long. Like I really like a cropped pant. I feel so weird in a like full length pant, and I don't know what that is. Something about my proportions I just really don't like. A pant that goes all the way to my ankle. So this length is, I think, very ideal for me. So yeah. Anyways, that's what I did. So yeah, graded the back pant to 24, from 28 to 24, so 2 sizes down in the back pant legs. I took the 3 inches out after doing that, though maybe if I were to do it again, I would take the 3 inches out before grading in, because of course when you lengthen or shorten at the lengthen or shorten line, it's going to change the angle of the side, like of the side seam and the inseam. And you have to like sort of grade through that. And I really just, because I had done the grading in first and then I shortened it, I sort of graded out all of the excess. Like I ended up, I think, removing more width, also higher in the pant. So a little bit unscientific on my part, but I was also like, I just need pants that I feel good in and that I want to wear and that are comfortable. And these have been like my favorite pants to wear ever since I made them. It's really like heartening. I feel like I just needed a day when I was feeling bold, and luckily I had made the toile, so I was able to like a little kind of like jerry rig them and test out some of the theories I was having about where I should remove the width. And yeah, it worked out. So I don't know how helpful that is to anybody else, but that is something that worked for me. And the fabric that I used, it's the Blackbird Fabrics 8.5 ounce washed cotton canvas in black. And I feel like it's like such a comfortable weight, and it also just like holds the pleats and the darts well, while not being like too heavy. One thing I think I could improve on is I think I made my waistband a bit loose, which is why I'm always like pulling them up. So there's a world in which I go back and take some, take maybe like just an inch out of the waistband. I used 2-inch non-roll elastic, which I bought a big roll of, and I hadn't really used it before, and it's working pretty well. I do think it gets like a bit of a fold right here where my body folds, but that's okay. I tend to like to wear things that cover up the waistband anyways, is how I prefer to wear them. Like this sweater, like I like where this falls and that you can't see the waistband. What was I saying? Non-roll elastic. Yeah, I think at some point I will hopefully open up the back. It won't take too long. It's just annoying. I'm trying to find the seam of the elastic. I don't know where it migrated to, so that might be annoying, but yeah, otherwise I like this elastic. Previously I would always have to like top stitch my elastics down. I don't know why I wasn't convinced by the idea of using non-roll elastic for ages, but now I'm glad that I have a big roll that should last me a little while. What else is there to say? Oh, I'm also impressed by, this is unladylike, but okay, I should stop doing that, but I'm impressed by how the fabric has worn so far, because I feel like I often make pants and wear them once, and I mean I have been making a certain amount of like linen pants, and I just notice wear right away at the inner thigh, and there's still no wear on these, and I have like worn them a lot since I made them, like at least 3 times a week for like the last month. So yeah, and I've like gone for walks in them. I have dug a car out of the snow in them. So yeah, I really recommend the fabric. And When I bought this fabric in the fall, they sent me a 20% off coupon, or like a code for 20% off. So I bought, well, this is unrelated, but isn't it pretty? Linen. This is their gingham soft wash linen in the color Morning Glory. But I bought more of the canvas because I liked it so much. And this is the color Russet. And I think I'll make another pair of pants because I've been wanting a second pair. And I just like the fabric so much. You can probably see it better in the Russet colorway. So yeah, maybe, I don't know when I'll get around to making those, but I still have the pattern pieces, and hopefully when I do that, I can show you the brown ones and you'll maybe be able to get a better idea than you can with the black. So yeah, a couple of people have asked me to talk more about sewing, and I honestly usually just run out of time, but and I also feel like I have been having more mixed results with sewing, just have made some things I'm not that happy with over the last year. So, and there's something extra disappointing about sewn things because they can't necessarily be frogged or repurposed in the same way that knitted things can. So anyways, it's just less exciting to show you the stuff that I feel not so good about. So yeah, I hope that was interesting too. My main hope is that any of this is interesting. And one last thing that I will try to keep kind of quick is my Handspun Harlow hat, which I made as a part of our Harlow Spin to Knit Along with M to the Third and Madison Monteith from Soulcraft. And yeah, this is my hat, and I just did my hair, but I'm gonna put it on for you. I tend to try and get the stripes a bit straight when I put it on. Ta-da! And I really like it, and I wore it a lot this winter. It's just this week has started being not hat season. Info about this is it's the Harlow hat by Andrea Mowry, and I spun the yarn using a braid from a Canadian dyer called Alair Artifacts, and it was her Targhee base. I think the Harlow pattern that I own is the Harlow, the regular Harlow. I think there's Harlow and Harlow worsted. Is that right? I'll check for you. But I did, okay, this is my second Handspun Harlow. And I followed the Harlow pattern, but I knit the smallest size in the pattern that I have, which is just the straight up Harlow, which is written for fingering weight. So I have the fingering weight pattern, and my yarn was more like a sport weight. And when I knit my first Handspun Harlow, I just sort of chose my size based on trial and error, which I feel is often the way with hats. I don't gauge swatch. I just cast on the hat and I realize it looks way too big, and then I have to size down. This was my first one, which I've shown before, also really love. And so I just counted the stitches because of course I hadn't written it down anywhere. And then I cast on the same amount and used the same needle size, which I guess I had to, I have to go back and watch my videos to see what I did, because I don't write things down. because that's not so fun for me. So yeah, I think I went back and watched my video, found out which needle size I had used, and then did the exact same thing. So it is like, I don't know, you can't really see, there is like a certain amount of gappiness to, I feel like I keep saying a certain amount today. Like, you know, when you have like a phrase stuck in your head, there's like some gappiness to the fabric, though maybe more in this one than in this one. I think this yarn was a bit finer. And also I spun them differently. This fiber was from Akara, and it was Whiteface Woodland. And I spun this short forward, which was like the first time, well, no, I'd spun short forward before, but it was one of my earliest spins on my, on my Starling e-spinner. And I spun it like while I had COVID, and I was really sad, and I don't know. So it wasn't like I was being careful or anything, or like super mindful of what I was doing. And it was just fun to like, I don't know, it was the biggest spin I'd done short forward, and I was like, oh, I get why this is kind of the most popular way of drafting, because it's like very easy and involves no thinking, but it's also not what I feel like I default to. And this I spun using more like my default drafting. And you can kind of see, I mean, there are different fibers, so who's to say what is fiber and what is my drafting method, but my sort of default draft, someone told me in the comments once, because I asked, what is called, I think, continuous back, where I kind of like, I have the fiber in my hand and I'm like inching back, and I don't tend to like smooth the fiber down. So this was like a worsted prep. It was a braid of fiber, but I still spun it without like smoothing it. So it has like a bit of a fuzzier effect. Let me see if I can show you. I don't know if you can tell, because they both look fuzzy, but to me, this one looks a little less like shiny, and I don't know if that's like, there's more of a, I don't know, it just looks more compressed to me, and I don't know if that's because I know that I compressed it more, or if that's just like a function of the type of fiber it is, because I feel like Whiteface Woodland maybe has a longer staple length, which tends to make for a sort of shinier yarn in my understanding. But anyways, that's the difference between the two. And the other difference is that I did knit this one longer, and I don't know, I've also recently washed this one, so, and haven't worn it, so maybe it's like, it looks shorter. There is like, I counted the rows, and I think, I don't remember how many more rows now, but there is a lot more rows in this one, because I wanted a thicker band. But because this one has been more recently like washed, I think it looks more stretched out. But yeah, that's interesting that they look literally exactly the same. But yeah, I think like having worn this, it's stretched more this way. Whereas when it was like initially washed, like you can see it like has a lot more stretch to it. So yeah, I wish I remembered how many rows I added, but it doesn't really matter. I was trying to add like a couple inches more length compared to the first one. And the Harlow's not written to have this like folded over brim, but I prefer that look. I don't really like the brimless hat. So yeah, that is my Handspun Harlow. And yeah, I really enjoyed wearing it this winter. It is, I think, softer than this one. Like, had I been really thinking about it, this was not the best choice of fiber for a hat. This Whiteface Woodland is quite rustic. It's just like a bit scratchy, especially like on my forehead when I get hot. But luckily there's bangs there usually to protect the forehead. And not so nice for the bangs because they get squished, but yeah. And so it was a really fun little spin to knit along. And thanks to everyone who participated. There were some really lovely hats created, and hopefully, yeah, we'll be doing more I would like to do another knit along. It was just fun to see other people sort of working towards similar goals, and it was really fun to work with Madison and Mackenzie because they're both wonderful. And they both make such like interesting and inspirational stuff. And yeah, two of my favorite podcasters out there. So yeah, just really nice to get to work with them. And yeah, we've talked about doing other make-alongs. I kind of have a little bit of I was texting my friends Kay and Rudy yesterday? Yeah, I think so. About summer knitting and what we're all hoping to knit this summer, because at least me and Rudy have been like, we don't love summer knits that much. So what are we going to make this summer? And I was like, maybe we do like a woolly sweater summer knit along, just like a torturous hot thing. So yeah, if you're interested in a woolly sweater summer knit along, like a sweat along. I was thinking maybe like a fingering weight sweater could be a good summer thing to make. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts if you have any knit alongs in mind. Yeah, I'd like to just have a little more motivation to like be on, I mean, not that I need more motivation to be on Instagram, but like to keep connecting with people, because I can get very just overwhelmed. And I'm finding my work right now, both my jobs are quite social, and so that's part of the reason that it's been hard to like sit down here and record, because I am like just like can't speak on my days off. Sorry, I'm fiddling with my pen. I just like need to be alone and quiet on my days off, and yeah, it's frustrating for me because I want to be here and be showing you the things that I'm making because I'm excited about them and interested in them and interested in hearing what you think about them and getting your feedback, but I just like don't have any like gas in the tank at the end of the week. Yeah, so anyways, I don't know, probably some of you can relate, and if you can't relate, well, I'm happy for you. I would love to be a person with endless energy, but I'm just not, and it's getting easier to accept that. Or I don't know, easier. I'm just accepting it more. Yeah, so anyways, maybe I'm rambling. I'm trying to think of what else I have to say. I do have some other projects on the go that I'm excited to show you, but like, as you can tell, it's been over an hour already, and I only showed you 3 projects. I just have a lot to say. When I have the energy to say things, I have a lot to say. And that's what I like about doing this. So yeah, let me know what you're working on. Reach out to me on Instagram if you'd like, at Purl_wise. I love chatting knitting. I love hearing what you're doing. Sewing too. Please tell me about your sewing. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope the sound was okay. I do like this angle. I feel like it's a bit sometimes I feel like the angle of my videos is a bit claustrophobic, and I've been trying to fix that. Anyways, I will hopefully see you again soon, and have a great start to spring, or fall if you are in the southern hemisphere. Okay, I'll stop now. Bye.